Hey, this is Dave with Wild Boats RC. We've gotten into the airplanes, and I wanted to show a little bit of the things that you might need for scratch builders to understand how to put their airplanes together, and just kind of go over um, some basic things that I've learned in the last 2 years in scratch building airplanes. We're going to talk about tools. This is some of the things you might need: scissors, levels, saws. Hot glue gun is going to be your best friend. Um, Pencils, pens, squirt bottle with water in it to remove the paper off the back of the foam board if it doesn't come off. Um, in general, this is about what you need in order to get going with your um, scratch building. The only other thing that I didn't buy that wasn't from Dollar Tree was this saw that I got from Hobby Lobby. The saw and the handle was separate, and then the glue gun, of course. But everything else other, oh yeah, and the rulers. The rulers weren't. I got these from Lowe's, but all the rest of it, even the scissors, I got from Dollar Tree. So Dollar Tree can be your best friend when you're building cheap like I do. But we're gonna move on to my Delta Wing. Here's my Delta Wing I'm building. We got the finished side and the unfinished side. And the tape that I used was from Dollar Tree. All the foam board on this airplane is from Dollar Tree. The only other thing that's not from Dollar Tree is this rod. It's a 5/16 dowel, wooden dowel. But all the rest of it is from Dollar Tree. The square tube in the center, I made that. It's an inch and a half, and all you do is you just draw 4 lines on a 16-inch piece, and you just barely score it. When you go to cut the foam board, don't cut all the way through. And then what you have to do is you have to cut it on a 90. So just like this, for instance, just put this here, and then you just put this up here, just leave yourself just a little bit of gap, and then take your knife and put it on there. I put it at a 45-degree angle and cut all the way down it, and that will give you the most beautiful bevel ever. And you can practice that on 2 or 3 sheets. Just cut out some strips and do some 90s. And another key factor in building scratch building, you have to learn how to cut straight with a razor blade. And the only way I've learned is repetition. You take your ruler, you take your time, and you get like 3 or 4 sheets of Dollar Tree foam board and a razor, and just cut strips. And that will teach you how to cut straight. Repetition, over and over, you will get it. And I know how to cut straight now without using a ruler. But that's my wing we're building, and it's got 2 ailerons in the back. And the reason why we built the piece here, because when I put this wing together, I used 4 pieces of laminated, put 4 strips together and stacked them, and then we glued it to this, and then we shaped it. We shaped the whole front of it. We cut it at a 90, and then we sanded it with the sandpaper, and we used 40 grit sandpaper to sand it. And we sanded it down until we wanted it perfect, and then we folded it over and we hot glued it, because it's got 2 strips back here in the back, and then we folded it over, and that little bit of excess right there, that leftover right there, I wouldn't cut it, just leave it. What happens was, it wasn't rigid. It was really flat. It looked like a paper in the wind, but it had rigidity from about here to the end of the airplane. So I decided to build this square tube. And once you build the square tube and I slid it in there, it is really strong now. And the only other thing with that X in the center, you have to build the X in the center. And the way that you do that, here's my mock-up X for you. It's real simple. Pardon me. You just got to cut 2 notches in it. Make sure they're straight. I did this for the camera, but make sure they're straight down the center. Just mark it out 1.5 inches all the way across. 1/2 inch is 5/8. You draw a line right down the center to 5/8, and then you just cut. Just move your ruler down just a little bit, less than a 1/16, and cut it again, and then cut it again on both sides, and that will slide together absolutely perfect. And then once you get that done, you can hot glue it together and then stick it in there, and then you'll see how strong that little box is. That box is strong from unbelievable. It weighs 100 grams for 16 ounces. I'm sorry, 100 grams for 16 inches. And you can do anything with Dollar Tree foam board. This shows you what you can do. The tapes from Dollar Tree, that's packing tape. They weigh between 100 and 135 grams a piece. Just keep track of how much you use, and then when you get down all the way down to the end, say like it weighs 135 grams, write that down, use all your packing tape, and then put it on your scale. You need to get you a scale because you have to keep on weighing these airplanes to keep them down under 1,800 grams, but this one's way over 1,800 grams, but I think it'll be fine with the airfoil and everything. But that roll of tape, it weighed 135 grams, right? So you just put it on here after you get done with it, and turn it on and see what it says. And if it says like 50 grams or 60 grams, you take that away from the 135, and that's how much tape you used. So that's my mock-up of my wing here. I've got the skin over here. This is the skin for the other wing. Just don't have the paper on it because it gives it its airfoil shape, and that will actually bend that way, believe it or not, from the spray bottle from the water. A lot of the foam board now that you get, it's adhered pretty good, but the water will take it right off. Just mist it. Give it probably about 30 seconds. And just wipe it with your finger and it'll peel right off. But you don't want to get the other side wet, so a lot of times you go ahead and tape your piece on this side and then this piece here, and then you take the aileron on the back side and then just draw your little line, cut your little line, and then spray it down and it'll come right off. And believe it or not, it'll actually have the airfoil shape. It's really weird how it does it. Next thing I want to talk to you about is a CG, center of gravity. You have to get your center of gravity right, or these things you'll be nose heavy, tail heavy. You never want to be tail heavy. You always want to be a little nose heavy on an airplane. There is a website called, let's see if we can pull it back up. It is called Flying Wing CG Calculator, and I don't know if you can see the website, but that's the website right there. And all you do is you put in your wingspan, the area, the tip, and the sweep. The sweep is between the distance between, you put this on the front of the table, on the edge of the table, and you take your ruler and you measure from the wingtip to the back other corner of the table, and that's your sweep. This is your sweep right here. And then once you get your sweep right, you go down to the bottom, you put beginner 15%, and you click on it, and this will be your CG right here. And I'll show you on my plane the marks here. That's my CG, center of gravity. I have it there. and I have it on the bottom. You gotta have CG. You don't have CG, no fly. No heavy, tail heavy. No fly. And that will get you going there. And then I'll show you some other planes I have. I have my other Delta Wing that I built that's ready to go. I got my little bomber and my big twin engine. And twin engine flies. And I'm gonna fly this one this weekend. But this is Dave with Wild Boats RC, and this is the airplane video. You all take care. Out.